A warm welcome. Our conversation today will be about how to regain vigor and joy without resorting to heroic efforts or harsh restrictions. Tell me, do you ever feel that the days are flying by and your energy seems to be fading? That your memory isn't what it used to be and sleep doesn't bring complete rest? It often seems like these are just the inevitable companions of age. Yes, over the years our body changes. Metabolism slows down, recovery takes more time, and our reserve capacity isn't the same. But there are habits we repeat day after day without even noticing how they undermine our health and mood, making these age-related changes more pronounced. For example, going to bed and waking up at different times each day is like constantly disrupting the body's internal clock, not allowing it to get into a rhythm and truly rest. Or the habit of living in a rut, avoiding anything new. It's like letting your brain gather dust instead of keeping it sharp, and trying to handle everything alone, even when it's hard. It's like carrying an unbearable burden that slowly but surely depletes our strength. I want to show you that by changing just a few such everyday habits, you can significantly improve your well-being. Sleep will become deeper, your mind clearer, your mood more stable, and you'll have energy for what's truly important to you. All the advice is simple, understandable, and doesn't require radical changes in your life. Let's explore this path together. I'm sure you'll find something valuable here specifically for you. And let's start, perhaps, with what seems most natural but often eludes us: our sleep. The habit of going to bed and waking up whenever, especially when you no longer need to rush to work, can subtly steal our energy. Going to bed sometimes at 10 p.m., sometimes well past midnight, waking up sometimes at 6 a.m., sometimes closer to noon. What do we suggest instead? Try to go to bed and wake up around the same time, even on weekends. Create a small pre-sleep ritual, a warm bath, reading a book, just not from a screen, calming music. Listen to the story of Barbara, 69 years old. Barbara had always been a night owl, and after retiring, she completely stopped paying attention to her bedtime. She could stay up watching a series until 1 in the morning and then sleep until 9 or 10 a.m. But despite this, she constantly complained about feeling drained, difficulty concentrating during the day, and frequent awakenings at night. What difference does it make what time I go to bed? The main thing is to get my 8 hours of sleep, she reasoned. The thought of forcing herself to go to bed and wake up with an alarm clock seemed like a deprivation of freedom, a return to the work routine she was so happy to be rid of. But her daughter, noticing that her mother had become forgetful and irritable, gently suggested trying to establish a routine. Barbara agreed reluctantly, more out of compliance. She started trying to go to bed no later than 11 p.m. and set her alarm for 7:30 a.m. The first few days were tough. She didn't feel sleepy in the evening and didn't want to get up in the morning. An hour before bed, she put away her tablet and brewed chamomile tea. And what happened? After about 2 weeks, she discovered with surprise that she was falling asleep more easily, and her nighttime awakenings became less frequent. During the day, she felt more energetic, and even her memory seemed to improve. Why does this happen? Our body lives by internal clocks, circadian rhythms. They regulate the production of hormones, including melatonin, the sleep hormone, and cortisol, the wakefulness hormone. When we go to bed and wake up at different times, we disrupt these rhythms. It's like trying to tune an orchestra where each musician plays by their own sheet music. The result is chaos, not harmony. A consistent routine helps synchronize the internal clocks, improves sleep quality, and allows the body to recover more effectively at night. This isn't a restriction, but tuning our body for health. Barbara realized that predictability was more important for her body than the illusory freedom of schedule. The benefits for you are clear: improved sleep quality, more energy and vigor during the day, improved memory and concentration, mood stabilization, support for the immune system. Try setting a consistent bedtime and wake-up time for yourself, even just for a week. Give your body the healing power of rhythm. Good sleep, of course, is fundamental. But how do we spend our waking hours? It's equally important to take care of mental clarity. And here another trap awaits us: mental routine, the avoidance of learning new things. When we solve the same crossword puzzle for years, watch only familiar shows, avoid anything that requires mental effort, our brain starts to get lazy. So, what should we do? Regular but small mental workouts. Try learning a few new words in a foreign language, start reading a book in a genre new to you, master a simple computer program or game, solve a new type of puzzle, like Sudoku, sign up for an interesting online course. Here is the story of Robert, 74 years old. Robert was an engineer, a man with a clear mind, but in retirement, his intellectual life was reduced to reading newspapers and watching the news. He began to notice that it was harder for him to remember names, and he more often lost the thread of conversation. He attributed it to age, sadly stating, "My mind isn't what it used to be." The thought of starting to learn something new seemed tiresome and pointless to him. "Why do I need this in my old age? Why exert myself?" he thought. His grandson, who enjoyed chess, offered to teach his grandfather how to play. Robert initially brushed it off. "Too complicated for me." But his grandson was persistent, and Robert, wanting to please him, agreed to try. At first, it was difficult to remember the moves of the pieces, to think about strategy. But gradually, he got into it. He enjoyed the process of thinking, searching for solutions. He started playing with his grandson regularly, then found an online platform to play with other people. And he noticed an amazing thing. It became easier for him to concentrate not only during the game, but also in everyday life. He started remembering details of conversations better, less often forgetting why he had entered a room. Why does this work? Our brain, like muscles, needs training to stay strong and flexible. When we learn something new, solve unfamiliar problems, we create new neural connections. It's like forging new paths in a forest. The more paths, the easier it is to navigate and move around. Mental stimulation helps maintain cognitive functions, memory, attention, thinking, and slows down age-related changes. This isn't an empty pastime, but an investment in mental clarity. Robert realized that his brain was still capable of learning and developing, and this restored his self-confidence. The benefits for you are undeniable: improved memory, attention and thinking speed, prevention of age-related cognitive decline, increased self-esteem, broadening of horizons and interests. Don't be afraid of new things. Find something that interests you and dedicate at least 15 to 20 minutes a day to it. Your brain will thank you. Keeping the mind sharp is wonderful, but our body and brain also need the right fuel. Unfortunately, another habit that can subtly sap our strength is an excessive reliance on processed foods and ready-made meals from the store. Of course, it's convenient. No need to stand over the stove for long, but often such food contains a lot of salt, sugar, unhealthy fats, and preservatives, while being low in beneficial nutrients. So, what's the solution? Try to cook simple meals from whole, unprocessed foods. Not necessarily complex dishes: boiled potatoes with herbs, simple buckwheat, baked chicken or fish, vegetable soup. These are both tasty and healthy. Listen to the story of Patricia, 70 years old. Patricia lived alone and, over time, completely stopped cooking for herself. Why bother when you can buy ready-made cutlets, dumplings, frozen pizza? Cooking for one is just a waste of food and time, she thought. It seemed like a sensible way to save energy. But at the same time, she began to notice that her blood pressure often rose, she developed swelling, and her digestion became temperamental. Her doctor noted her diet and advised her to reduce her consumption of ready-made meals, especially salty ones. Patricia initially reacted defensively. What am I supposed to do now, starve, or stand at the stove for hours? She felt confused and a little hurt, but the doctor suggested starting small. For example, instead of store-bought cutlets, buy a piece of chicken and simply bake it in the oven with herbs, or cook a simple vegetable soup to last a couple of days. Patricia decided to try. She bought vegetables, cooked a large pot of soup. Then she baked some fish, and she discovered with surprise that simple, freshly prepared food tasted much better than store-bought. A couple of weeks later, she noticed that the swelling had reduced, her blood pressure stabilized, and her stomach stopped acting up. Why is simple homemade food better? Processed and ready-made meals are often overloaded with sodium, salt, for taste and preservation, which contributes to high blood pressure and swelling. They contain many hidden sugars and unhealthy fats that harm blood vessels and metabolism. They are low in fiber, vitamins, and minerals necessary for well-being. By cooking ourselves from simple ingredients, vegetables, grains, lean meat, fish, we control the amount of salt, sugar, and fat. We get the maximum benefit from the food. It's like tending a garden. You can use chemical fertilizers for a quick but short-lived effect, or you can nourish the soil with organic matter, getting a healthy and abundant harvest. Patricia realized that taking care of herself by preparing simple, healthy food is not a burden, but a pleasure and an investment in her health. The benefits for you are clear: normalization of blood pressure, reduction in swelling, improved digestion, weight management, getting necessary vitamins and minerals, more energy. You don't have to become a master chef. Start with one simple homemade dish a day instead of a ready-made one. Your body will appreciate this care. Caring for what we eat directly affects our well-being from the inside, but how we perceive the world outside is no less important. And here lies another habit we often overlook: ignoring the gradual decline of hearing or vision. We start turning the TV up louder, asking others to repeat themselves, squinting while reading, but postponing a visit to the doctor. It's just age. It doesn't bother me that much. I don't want the hassle of a hearing aid or new glasses. What to do? Regularly, at least once every year or two, check your hearing and vision with specialists. If glasses or a hearing aid are recommended, don't refuse them. Here's the story of Thomas, 77 years old. Thomas began to notice that it was increasingly difficult for him to understand speech, especially in noisy environments or over the phone. His family constantly complained that he turned the TV up too loud, but the thought that he needed a hearing aid caused a strong aversion in him. Am I some kind of ancient old man to walk around with that thing in my ear? It's embarrassing, he thought. It seemed to him an admission of his own frailty, that people would give him sideways glances. He preferred to ask people to repeat themselves, nod inappropriately, or simply remain silent, which led to misunderstandings and gradually isolated him from conversation. His wife, Claire, seeing how he suffered and withdrew into himself, persuaded him to see an audiologist. The doctor confirmed age-related hearing loss and recommended a hearing aid. Thomas resisted for a long time, but Claire found a modern, almost invisible model. Reluctantly, Thomas started wearing it, and it changed his life. He could clearly hear the voices of loved ones, music, the sounds of nature again. He could communicate normally on the phone, participate in general conversations without feeling isolated. He realized how much he had been missing due to his stubbornness. Why is it important to correct hearing and vision? Good vision and hearing are our windows to the world. When they deteriorate, we don't just experience everyday inconveniences. Hearing loss is linked to an increased risk of social isolation, depression, and even cognitive decline, as the brain spends more resources on recognizing sounds and less on other tasks. Poor vision increases the risk of falls and injuries, limits mobility and independence. Glasses and hearing aids are not signs of old age, but tools that help us remain active, engaged in life, maintain connection with the world, and stay safe. It's like crutches for someone with a broken leg. They help movement, not emphasize the injury. Thomas realized that using the device was a sign of self-care, not weakness. And the benefits for you here are immense. Improved communication with loved ones, reduced risk of social isolation and depression, maintaining cognitive functions, increased safety, the ability to enjoy the sounds and sights of the world. Don't postpone visits to the ophthalmologist and audiologist. Modern means of vision and hearing correction can significantly improve your quality of life. Seeing and hearing well are our windows to the world, allowing us to communicate and interact fully. But sometimes we shut ourselves off from the world and poison our lives from within by clinging to the past. The fifth habit we want to talk about is getting stuck on past grievances and conflicts, mentally ruminating on old quarrels, unspoken complaints, memories of who hurt us and when. It's like carrying a sack of stones on your back, heavy and pointless. What's the alternative? A conscious decision to let go of grudges. Not necessarily forgetting or justifying the offender, but stopping the mental return to it, stopping wasting your energy on it. The practice of forgiveness, primarily for your own peace of mind. Let me tell you about Elizabeth, 73 years old. Elizabeth hadn't spoken to her sister for many years after an old quarrel over inheritance. She constantly replayed the details of that conflict in her mind, feeling bitterness and injustice. Every mention of her sister triggered a flash of anger and resentment. It seemed to her that to forgive meant betraying herself, admitting she was wrong. She should apologize first, Elizabeth insisted. This internal conflict exhausted her, spoiled her mood, and affected her health. She often had headaches. Her blood pressure fluctuated wildly. Her close friend once told her, "Liz, understand this. You're punishing yourself with this grudge, not your sister. She's living her life, and you're carrying this burden." These words made Elizabeth think. She started reading articles about the psychology of forgiveness and realized that forgiveness isn't a gift to the offender, but a gift to yourself. It's freedom from pain. She wasn't ready for reconciliation with her sister, but she decided to try to let go of the grudge within herself. She wrote a letter, which she never sent, where she poured out all her feelings and then symbolically burned it. She began to consciously stop herself when she caught herself thinking about the old quarrel, redirecting her attention to something else. Gradually, she felt surprising relief. Her headaches became less frequent. Her mood improved. She felt as if she'd shed a heavy backpack. Why is it important to let go of grudges? Chronic anger, resentment, hostility. These are strong negative emotions that keep our body in a state of stress. Cortisol levels rise, blood pressure increases, the immune system suffers, the risk of cardiovascular diseases increases. It's like a slow poison we take ourselves, hoping it will harm the other person. Forgiveness, even if only internal, breaks this connection, reduces stress levels, brings emotional and physical relief. It's an act of care for your mental and physical health. Elizabeth realized that peace of mind is more precious than any grudge. Your benefit from this? Reduced stress levels, improved emotional state, normalization of blood pressure, strengthened immunity, freeing up mental energy for more positive thoughts and actions. Forgiveness is not weakness, but strength. Try letting go of at least one old grudge for your own peace and health. Releasing the burden of grudges brings incredible relief to the soul and even the body. But caring for the body often requires more concrete actions, especially when it comes to health. And here, we approach another important, yet sometimes difficult topic: our attitude towards taking medication. The habit of being careless about doctors' prescriptions can be dangerous. Skipping doses, arbitrarily changing the dosage, "I feel better today, I'll take less," taking medications on a neighbor's advice, refusing necessary medications out of fear of chemicals. What should we do? Strictly follow the doctor's instructions. Take medications regularly, in the prescribed dose, and at the right time. Don't hesitate to ask your doctor questions about the medications. Use pill organizers or reminders to avoid forgetting doses. Here's the story of Frank, 79 years old. Frank suffered from hypertension and diabetes and was prescribed several medications, but he regarded them with suspicion. "They fix one thing and break another," he grumbled. He often forgot to take his blood pressure pill if he felt okay, or skipped his diabetes medication if he hadn't eaten sweets the day before. He believed it was better to rely on the body than to poison himself with chemicals. His wife, Mary, worried seeing how his blood pressure and sugar levels fluctuated, but Frank brushed it off. "I know what's best for me." This led to his condition worsening, requiring hospitalization. In the hospital, the doctor had a very serious talk with Frank, explaining that chronic diseases require constant management and support with medication, that skipping doses or changing the dosage could lead to dangerous complications: stroke, heart attack, kidney problems. The doctor compared medications to eyeglasses. You don't take off your glasses when you think you see a bit better today, do you? They are needed constantly for stable vision. It's the same with medications for blood pressure or diabetes. This conversation and the scare of hospitalization made Frank reconsider his attitude. He bought a pill organizer, where Mary organized his medications for the week. He started taking them strictly on schedule, and his condition stabilized. He felt significantly better and calmer. Why is it important to take medications correctly? Many age-related diseases, hypertension, diabetes, heart conditions, require continuous medication therapy to control symptoms and prevent serious complications. Medications work effectively only with regular intake and the correct dosage, maintaining the necessary concentration of the active substance in the body. Skipping doses, or arbitrarily changing them, nullifies the entire effect of the treatment and can be dangerous. It's like building a house and skipping some bricks in the masonry. The structure will be unstable and could collapse. Taking prescribed medications correctly is not dependence, but a responsible attitude towards one's health. Frank understood that medications were his allies in the fight for well-being. The benefits for you are clear: stable management of chronic diseases, prevention of dangerous complications, improved quality of life, reduced anxiety about one's health. Take your prescribed medications seriously. Follow your doctor's recommendations, and don't be afraid to ask questions. This is an important contribution to your longevity and well-being. Taking medications correctly is an important part of taking responsibility for your health. But sometimes responsibility lies not only in following the doctor's orders, but also in admitting we need help from other people. And the last, seventh habit we'll talk about today is the fear or reluctance to ask for help, the desire to do everything independently, even when it becomes difficult. I don't want to bother anyone. I can manage myself. It's awkward to ask. We are afraid of appearing weak, dependent, a burden. What's the alternative? Learning to accept help and not hesitating to ask for it when it's truly needed. Whether it's help with heavy bags, asking children for help with cleaning, or contacting social services for support. Here's the story of Agnes, 80 years old. Agnes had always been a very independent woman. She prided herself on doing everything herself. But after a hip fracture, it became difficult for her to cope with household chores, to go to the store. Her children offered help, but she refused. It's okay, I'll manage slowly on my own. She was ashamed to admit that it was hard for her. She was afraid of becoming a burden to her children, who had their own lives, their own worries. This attempt to maintain the appearance of complete independence cost her enormous effort and led to exhaustion and the risk of falling again. One day, her son arrived without warning and found her crying helplessly over the sink full of dirty dishes she couldn't wash because of the pain in her leg. This moment became a turning point. Her son gently said, "Mom, letting us help you is not weakness. It means you trust us and love us. We want to take care of you." Agnes realized that her pride and fear of being a burden hindered not only her, but also her loved ones, who sincerely wanted to help. She agreed to have a caregiver help a few times a week with cleaning and shopping, and started asking her son or daughter more often to bring groceries. And this brought immense relief. She freed up time and energy for rest, socializing, and her favorite activities. She stopped feeling like a driven horse. Why is it important to know how to ask for and accept help? The desire for independence is commendable, but as we age, our physical capabilities can change. Trying to shoulder an unbearable load leads to physical and emotional exhaustion, increases the risk of injury and isolation. Knowing when to ask for help is a sign of wisdom and a realistic assessment of one's abilities. It also allows our loved ones to show their love and care, strengthening relationships. It's like in a team. A strong player knows when to pass the ball to another to achieve the goal together. Accepting help is not surrender, but a wise allocation of resources for the sake of preserving one's health and well-being. Agnes realized that true strength isn't doing everything yourself, but wisely managing your resources, including the help of others. What are the benefits for you? Reduced physical and emotional load, prevention of exhaustion and injuries, more time and energy for rest and enjoyable activities, strengthened relationships with loved ones, maintaining independence for longer. Don't hesitate to ask for help when you need it. Allow yourself and your loved ones this care. It's not weakness, but a sensible step towards preserving your strength and well-being. And this brings us to the end of our conversation. Dear friends, we have looked at 7 simple but very important habits that can make our lives in mature age either harder or, with minor adjustments, much easier and more joyful. Please don't take this as criticism or lecturing. You are people with vast life experience, with unique backgrounds, and you know yourselves best. But sometimes, a fresh perspective, some kind advice, can suggest a simple solution to a long-standing problem. You have every right to feel good, to enjoy each day, to have peace and energy at any age. Perhaps some of these tips will seem unfamiliar or require a little effort. But remember, even the smallest changes, repeated day after day, can lead to significant positive results. There's no need to try to change everything at once. Choose just one thing that seems most manageable to you and give it a try. Be patient and kind to yourself on this path. You possess incredible inner strength and adaptability. You've proven this to yourselves time and again throughout your lives. Believe in yourselves. You can make your golden years truly bright and comfortable. Start today with one small step. You can do it.